Have you ever felt like no matter how much you give, care, or invest in someone, they never appreciate you? Maybe you've noticed that some people only reach out when they need something, or that your efforts often go unnoticed. Today, we're going to talk about a powerful truth. Your time, energy, and heart are precious and they deserve to be respected. Holding on to people who don't value you only drains you, steals your peace, and blocks your growth. The problem we're going to solve today is one many of us struggle with silently: staying attached to people who don't truly respect or care for us. By the end of this video, you'll understand why letting go is not just okay, it's necessary for your happiness and self respect. The first step to letting go is awareness. You cannot release someone unless you recognize the ways they consistently fail to value you. Often, these signs are subtle at first. Maybe they cancel plans repeatedly, rarely check in on you, or only reach out when they need something. Perhaps they dismiss your feelings, belittle your achievements, or fail to acknowledge the effort you put into the relationship. At first, you might excuse their behavior, telling yourself they are busy, stressed, or just forgetful. But repeated patterns tell a different story. Patterns reveal truth. When someone doesn't value you, interactions with them leave you drained, anxious, or frustrated more than they bring joy. You might notice that you are always giving, compromising, or adjusting while they seem indifferent, selfish, or ungrateful. Your heart may ache because deep down you sense the imbalance, but your mind wants to rationalize it. Awareness is key here. The first act of self respect is seeing clearly. Recognize that consistent disregard is not a flaw in your perception, it is a reflection of their character, priorities, and inability to honor your presence. It is also important to recognize the emotional patterns you experience. Are you anxious before calling them? Do you feel unappreciated after conversations? Are you constantly bending yourself to meet their expectations, yet still feeling unseen? These emotional signals are not coincidences. They are your inner wisdom telling you that your energy is being misused, that your energy is being misused, that your kindness is being taken for granted, and that your value is being ignored. Some people stay attached because of nostalgia, shared memories, or fear of loneliness, or fear of loneliness. They cling to hope that things will change, or they feel guilty about stepping away. But holding on in these circumstances only perpetuates emotional pain and stagnation. The moment you truly recognize someone does not value you, you open the door to a new kind of clarity. You understand that respect, attention, and care are not privileges to earn, they are basic markers of how healthy relationships function. Awareness does not mean acting impulsively or with anger. It means observing without justification, noticing without justification, noticing without denial, and acknowledging the truth without blame. Once this recognition settles in, the mind and heart become prepared for the next step, detachment. And this awareness, painful as it may feel at first, is the first act of love toward yourself. Is the first act of love toward yourself, the beginning of letting go of those who diminish your light. The second step in letting go of people who don't value you is realizing a profound truth. Your worth does not depend on anyone else's recognition, approval, or gratitude. One of the reasons we struggle to release certain people is that we've tied our sense of value to their actions. We think if they appreciate me, I matter, or if they acknowledge my efforts, I am worthy. But this belief is a trap that places your peace and happiness in the hands of someone who may never truly honor you. Your worth is inherent, unchanging, and independent of how others treat you. No one has the authority to define your value unless you give it to them. The moment you understand this, you gain a power that is impossible to take away: the ability to remain steady, confident, and whole, regardless of how others behave. You stop seeking validation externally and start finding it within yourself, rooted in your intentions, actions, and personal integrity. People who fail to value you often operate from their own limitations, their insecurities, distractions, or preoccupations, or when you expect them to act differently, you set yourself up for disappointment and pain by untangling your self worth for disappointment and pain. By untangling your self worth from their recognition, you begin to see their lack of appreciation for what it truly is: a reflection of them, not a reflection of your value. This understanding, not a reflection of your value. This understanding also changes the way you engage in relationships. You no longer bend yourself to please others or chase approval. That may never come. You invest your time, energy, and love wisely where it is genuinely reciprocated and respected. You start prioritizing people and connections that uplift, support, and honor your presence rather than expend effort on those who drain and devalue you. Building this independence takes practice. At first, your mind may resist reminding you of all the times you were hurt, overlooked, or ignored. You might feel a sense of loneliness or guilt for no longer tolerating certain behaviors. But every time you conscious loose affirm your intrinsic worth, you reinforce your emotional freedom. You are selling balloons on the street. You train your heart to be self-sufficient, your mind to remain steady, and your soul to recognize that you are enough exactly as you are. When your sense of value comes from within, letting go becomes easier, not because you are cold or unfeeling, but because you no longer need anyone else to validate your existence. You stop clinging to relationships that diminish your light, and you open space for those who genuinely see, appreciate, and celebrate you. In this space, you discover a profound kind of peace: the ability to stand tall, unshaken, and fully aware that your worth is permanent, undeniable, and yours alone. The third step in letting go of people who don't value you is learning the art of detachment. Detachment does not mean cutting off from life, becoming indifferent, or closing your heart to others. It is a conscious decision to release emotional dependency on someone who consistently fails to respect, appreciate, or honor you. The challenge is that many of us confuse detachment with selfishness or betrayal. We feel guilty for protecting ourselves or fear the loneliness that comes with stepping away. But true detachment is neither selfish nor cruel. It is an act of self respect and emotional wisdom. When you attach your happiness, peace, and sense of self to someone who doesn't value you, you surrender your emotional power. Every disappointment, insult, or neglect becomes a wound because you have allowed them to define your inner state. Detachment teaches you to reclaim that power. It is a process of stepping back emotionally, observing an interactions clearly, and choosing not to internalize disrespect or indifference. You stop letting their actions control your feelings. You recognize that their inability to value you is their limitation, not yours. Detachment without guilt is rooted in clarity. It is understanding that your decision to step away is not about punishment, anger, or resentment. It is about protecting your heart, mind, energy from patterns of neglect or disregard. You do not need anyone's approval to prioritize your well being. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, it is a demonstration of courage. It is a demonstration of courage. It is the ability to acknowledge the truth, honor your own worth, and act in alignment with it. Fear often accompanies detachment because we worry about being alone, about losing connection, or about what others might think. But this fear is a reminder of how much power we previously gave to someone who does not value us. When you detach, you are learning to stand on your own, to rely on your own emotional strength, and to build a life where peace is your default state. Loneliness, if it arises, is temporary. It is the space where you rediscover yourself, rebuild your confidence, and cultivate the kind of relationships that truly nurture your soul. Practicing detachment with grace means you do not act out of bitterness or resentment. You do not lash out or manipulate. You simply create healthy boundaries and allow the natural separation to occur. You recognize that love and care should be reciprocal, not one sided. And as this awareness deepens, the act of letting go transforms from a painful necessity into an empowering choice. When you master detachment without guilt or fear, you free yourself from emotional bondage. You no longer carry the weight of someone else's indifference or disrespect. Instead, you stand firmly in your own value, maintaining dignity, clarity, and calm. You create space for people who will honor you, support you, and up life. Your detachment is not losing someone, it is gaining yourself. And in that gain lies the first true step toward lasting peace and fulfillment. The final step in letting go of people who don't value you is not just about removal, it's about creating space for the right people to enter your life. When you release those who drain your energy, ignore your efforts, or fail to honor your presence, you make room for connections that truly matter. These are the people who uplift you, respect your boundaries, celebrate your successes, and inspire you to become the best version of yourself. Making space is an act of intentional living, a conscious choice to prioritize relationships that enrich rather than deplete your life. Many of us stay attached to unhealthy relationships because of familiarity, guilt, or fear of loneliness. We hold on to people who do not value us while neglecting opportunities to connect with those who could genuinely support and elevate us. But life is a reflection of where we place our energy. When you fill your time and heart with people who uplift you, your life becomes lighter, more joyful, and full of possibilities. You experience encouragement, empathy, and authentic connection, qualities that are impossible to sustain in one sided relationships. Creating space requires clarity and courage. It begins with recognizing who in your life aligns with your values, respects your boundaries, and inspires your growth. These are the people who make you feel heard, seen, and appreciated without demanding that you shrink yourself to meet their expectations. Investing your energy in these relationships is not just beneficial, it is essential for your well being and personal growth. Making space also teaches you a powerful lesson about self worth and standards. Your standards are understanding that relationships are not a privilege you must beg for. They are mutual exchanges of respect, care, and support. But when someone elevates your life, they're worthy of your time and attention. When someone diminishes it, they are not. By consciously choosing who to surround yourself with, you reinforce your value, cultivate an abundance into your emotional world, cultivate peace, and invite abundance into your emotional world. It is important to remember that this process is gradual. Sometimes the people you need to release are long term friends, colleagues, or even family members. Detachment and making space require patience, introspection, and self compassion. But with each step, you gain clarity, confidence, and freedom. You begin to notice the energy of your relationships, the light ones that lift you, and the heavy ones that weigh you down. Your choices become intentional rather than reactive, and your heart begins to align with people who genuinely honor and celebrate your presence. When you finally make space for those who uplift, respect, and inspire you, life transforms. You are no longer weighed down by relationships that devalue or drain you. Your heart becomes lighter, your mind clearer, and your mind clearer, and your spirit stronger. You attract connections that nurture growth, joy, and authenticity. And in this space, you experience the freedom to live fully, love deeply, and thrive without compromise because you have chosen yourself first, and the right people naturally follow. As we come to the end, remember this: your heart, your time, and your energy are precious, and they deserve to be honored. Letting go of people who don't value you is not an act of cruelty, it is an act of love for yourself. It begins with recognizing the signs of those who drain or diminish you, understanding that your worth is independent of anyone else's appreciation, and learning to detach without guilt or fear. The final step is perhaps the most beautiful: making space for people who uplift, respect, and inspire you. When you release those who do not honor your presence, you invite relationships that bring light, joy, and growth into your life. You no longer carry the weight of indifference or neglect because you have chosen to protect your peace and prioritize your well being. So today, make a promise to yourself to value your own worth, to honor your boundaries, and to surround yourself with those who truly see and celebrate you. Life is far too short to spend it on people who do not recognize your light. Let go, create space, and step into the freedom, joy, and fulfillment that comes when your heart is filled only with those who uplift and inspire you.